Why are you so aghast? I mean, The Thick of It has been running for about 7 years. Do you never switch on?
No, I don't watch The Thick of It.
Well,
I mean, am I wrong to not watch The Thick of It? But
well, I mean, I think you're living in a bit of a weird kind of, I don't know,
You think
naive
it's
world. I don't think it's acceptable, but I think it is widely known that politicians brief against each other, stab each other in the back. That, you know, everybody says it's show business for ugly people.
So is that okay?
No, one thing I say.
Is that okay?
Can I just say one thing?
No, go on.
It's easy to generalise, and, you know, the stuff we read in the papers is horrific. I've known Douglas for a long time. I knew Douglas before I got involved in politics. One thing I know about Douglas is, even though we'll passionately disagree, he doesn't countenance behaviour like that. He would never do it. It's wrong to tar all politicians with the same brush. Douglas has gone into politics. He's an incredibly talented guy for decent motives, and I think it is wrong to say that all politicians behave in that way, and it is right when there are folk who believe in things and who are willing to, you know, to put their reputation on the line for their beliefs, as Douglas has,
so you have
to acknowledge that.
You've had no connection with this issue of you monstering people on Twitter and attacking journalists. You've had no involvement. There's nothing. You know, you have this business of a freedom of information search being denied by your department when it was revealed that you were using private email accounts in order to transact government business. That's nothing to do with you. There's nothing. You're not involved in any of that, are you?
I'm not on Twitter.
No.
And these matters were...
Okay.
I spent...
Well, you better edit your wiki page then, because it's looking a bit
I'll
grim
leave that
at
to
the moment.
Chuka Amu.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you'll edit it in your favour. So,
No,
I mean,
no.
But you're not managing information on yourself, Michael, in the public arena very effectively.
I don't care.
It paints you up
folk
to be a little master of the dark arts, actually.
No, folk can run through all the scuttlebutt they like.
I mean, I've never heard such ridiculous and spurious sanctimony emanating from a politician in all my born days. You're well known for it.
No, Will.
You're
well known for playing to the gallery, populist position-taking, and for trying to denigrate politicians. I'm standing up for a politician from a different party against the sort of cynicism that you peddle in the hope that it'll make you popular with this audience. More people will buy your books, and you will have a stronger characteristic. And as far as I'm concerned, you're the king of cheap shots, and I'm not going to join you with that.
Well, very sweet of you, the idea that people are going to actually buy my books more because of anything I say on question time. Well, I mean, as far as I'm aware, the Kenyan army were involved in cross-border measures against al-Shabaab, and you know, your government would never do that, would they? Launch a military incursion in a foreign country and then be surprised if there's a terrorist fallout. That doesn't happen around here. I find it very difficult to sit here and listen to all of this, actually. I find it actually physically painful. It begins to pain me because, you know, yeah, it's a terrible thing that happened in Kenya, and terrorism is in no way to be condoned. But to drag it down to this domestic political battlefield where I'm harder about terrorism than you are, I do this, I do that. We live in this excessively surveyed society already. The only thing that, and I'm not taking a pop aiming at the approval of the gallery, because you may well catcall me, but the only thing that bigs these guys up is sitting up here and saying, yeah, more guns, more power, more counter-terrorism. That's what we really need. We need to be a big... Yes, you do. You all sit there... Well, you aren't even a politician. You're sitting there saying we need to spend more money on security.
She was the only one who said it.
Well, you don't believe there should be more money on security? You don't believe in the anti-terrorist structure that we already have in place? This is seen unreservedly as a good thing that we live in a society.
But will it stop a plot a month on average from taking place in our own country? Surely that's got to be money well spent.
Do you know what? I don't actually believe that. Yeah, it's a heresy. I don't really actually believe that.
You think it's an invented problem?
But you know what, Will? I don't want my child dying because my belief that the government is lying to me was actually wrong. I don't want to take that risk.
Well,
my family... my family are very precious to me.
Let's not speak from the high moral ground of your own anticipated future loss. Why do we have to live in a society in which this debate about terrorism completely conditions everybody's mentality? Why don't we just look at the objective reality, which is that, you know, what you were saying, Patrick, is such a crude example of mental division and confusion about these things. We can give humanitarian aid to the refugees in Syria, but on the other hand, we want to start dropping bombs on Damascus. What kind of mixed message? It's called a classic double bind. What's going on here? Why can't we just be the sort of country that gives the humanitarian aid and leave the bombing foreign countries and wandering around the place with guns and, you know, being big dick militarists?
Michael Gove, do you want to come on in this point? Because you were very critical of the vote in the House of Commons against military action in Syria.
Yes, I can't believe I was listening to Will there.
Why? Don't you know the sort of things I say, Michael?
I do now. I do now. Do you think that 9/11 and 7/7 were fictions?
No, I don't.
Have you taken the trouble to talk to anyone in the security or intelligence services about the plots that have been disrupted? Have you listened to the transcripts of those who've been responsible for planning to bomb nightclubs because girls are slags for wanting to go out and dance in the evening? I'm staggered, Will, that you can treat a serious subject with the flipness that you have, and also I'm staggered as well.
It's not flip. It's not flip at all.
Well, we'll leave the audience to decide.
No,
that.
I don't doubt that some of these plots have been foiled by our security services.
Good.
But what I'm talking about, I don't doubt it, but what I'm talking about is the terms under which we live, the kind of society we want to live in. And do we want to live in a society that simply ups its sense of anxiety? This woman here sitting on the panel, who is anxious in advance about her children being killed by terror.
I live in London.
You should be anxious about your children being knocked down and killed by a car. That's the most
Well, I'm
likely.
anxious about that as well.
Well, you should be
One
more
more point
anxious
from the
about
woman in
it.
the second row from the back, and then we'll take another question, or last question, I think.
Does anybody else not find it shocking that as soon as we started having a conversation about terrorism, both Douglas and Michael instantly started talking about Islam? It seems to me that this government is always just peddling Islamophobia, blaming violence on everything. Is it not surprising that then 1 in 4 people are always suspicious of Muslims? Why can we not talk about terrorism without bringing Islam into it?
All right.
I mean, there is a fairly obvious answer to that question, which is that it was an Islamist terrorist attack, and it tends to be these days.
Okay.
Yeah, but it got linked on to a whole big tirade, both from you and from Michael, about attitudes, and from you as well, Douglas, about de-radicalising Islamic youth in this country, and it becomes a very partisan. You're not on the right territory, actually. This university has the highest ethnic minority student body in the country, and it's very proud of it.
Well, are you trying to conflate being a member of a minority ethnic community with a particular attitude and sympathy towards terrorism? Look, you don't know what you're talking about in this area. I think we've had enough, frankly.
Well, let's take it outside, where you like to do your group.
All right, then.
Well, let's take it outside, where you like to do your group.
All right.